Not just in America, but everywhere we go, our people are dying. So the things that are in operation on this planet is that white people want to kill us. I want you to understand that. They want to kill you. And it has nothing to do with what the kind of degree you have, what kind of car you have, what kind of title you have, what fraternity you belong to, what religion you belong to. They want to kill you because that is part of their plan. There are any number of reasons why they want to do that. I'm not going to waste my time trying to figure out why they want to kill us. But I know that's what they want to do. And they want to do it in many different ways. Psychological, economic, cultural, spiritual, social, and biological, chemical, electromagnetic. They want to kill you. But they also want to make money in the process of your death. Now, I saw a brother when I was coming in, he was smoking a cigarette. So now he's going to kill himself, but they're going to make money off of his death process. The other thing is that they want us to, if they don't kill us, like they tried to kill the brother by beating him up in New Orleans, if they don't kill us that way, or shooting like they killed the brother in Cincinnati, or like they killed Malice Green in Detroit, or like they killed Greenwich up in Pittsburgh, if they don't come out right and kill us straight, they want to get us to kill ourselves. Now, these are the only two operations on the planet. The other thing is that there's only one nigger on the planet. I never use that word. This is the first time I've used it. I don't even think that word, but there's only one nigger on the planet. And the nigger that's on the planet is the one that is destroying the water, the one that's polluting the air, the one that is exploiting people and resources. And the only nigger on the planet is the white man and the white woman. And then our people are not niggers. We are imitation niggers. Now, what we have to do is we have to devise a system or a plan for ourselves. And I said earlier that each one of you is a system. And everything that you do, every thought that you think, either you are supporting white world terror domination by your actions, what you buy, what you wear, where you go, what you eat, how you use your time. You are either supporting the white people in their process of death, or you're for African liberation. It's one or the other. And if we don't use our time wisely, then we are engaging in a form of subtle suicide. Because as I said earlier, their system is still going on. They still have these images on TV that are going on. They're still warehousing our children in the special ed, giving them Ritalin. There are no jobs. We fill in the hospitals. So their system is not stopping. And then finally, I want to say that we need one idea. And we're not thinking about a solution to the problem. We're dealing with all these other things, but these are diversions from the solution to the problem. And we have to start to think about a solution to the problem so that these young brothers and sisters who are here now, who are 15, 16, and 17, are not here 25 years later talking about these same problems. Now, how do I know that the white people know that we are going to come up with a solution to the problem? I know it because they have retina scans, they have what they call racial profiling, DNA banks, and they're monitoring our people to try to prevent the one person from coming up with the one idea. And the one idea is how we are going to exterminate white people, because that, in my estimation, is the only conclusion I have come to. We have to exterminate white people off of the face of the planet to solve this problem. Now, I don't.
What is good, my people? We are live back again with another live broadcast on the forecast. Hey, what's going on, Cassidra? How you doing?
Well, what is going on? Oh, don't start tonight. That was the best thing that I've heard all day. I swear. He sound like Khalil. He sound like Khalil. Oh my goodness. I'm doing great now.
Yeah, and you know what, Cassandra? Let me give it because it's like 30 seconds. I just cut it off. Let me play the rest of it real
I was
quick.
gonna say, play it, man. Go ahead. I got
Okay.
time.
Okay.
I don't care whether you clap or not, but I'm saying to you, whether you clap or now, I don't care whether you clap or not, but I'm saying to you that we need to solve this problem because they are going to kill us. And I will leave on that. So we have to just set up our own system and stop playing and get very serious and not be diverted from coming up with a solution to the problem. And the problem on the planet is white people.
There you go. Yeah, I just wanted to let him finish his speech. You know, that's a fact. You know, but yeah, how you doing today, Cassandra?
What was the name of that? I'm looking now. What was the name of that video?
Put his name is Camus Cabon.
Come on, come on. But I'm looking at it. But what
Um,
year? When did he say that? When
this
was that?
it was in the 90s or something like that. It was on C-SPAN. Just if you put in his name and put in C-SPAN, it'll pop up.
Okay, C-SPAN. Oh my
Yeah,
Lord. I love it.
yeah. But definitely. So yeah, yeah. I know my bad. We are a little bit late today. You know, I got a lot going on over here. Um, but you know, we're gonna get to it, and we definitely gonna talk about this show this week. And so yeah, consider and then so last week we was talking about we was gonna bring up the whole prison and dust like the whole prison thing, and like is there any like particular reason why you wanted to talk about it, or did you want to say anything about before we get into the topic? Uh, you there?
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought I was on. I'm muted. I'm sorry.
Oh, you
I
good?
have been dealing with, my foundation deals with a lot of inmates, and I'm looking at the inmate culture, and they're getting left behind. They're out here fending for their lives, and nobody cares. Nobody seems to care if they live or die. Now you have inmates, white inmates, that'll go into jail and come out and find jobs because they have family members that have own businesses, or family members, or they know people, or they know people that know people, or somebody is going to take care of them. You understand what I'm saying? But when it comes to Black people, we tend to look at our own, like they deserved it. You shouldn't have did the crime. They're forgetting the system, the systematical racism that's involved in this system against Black folk, right? They have us convinced that everybody in jail deserves to be there. They have us convinced that everybody that's gone to jail, you should rot in jail. And then you come out, if you can't find a place to eat, you can't find nowhere to live, that's on you. We don't give a damn. Now that's the mentality of Black folk against Black folk that went to jail. White folk protecting theirs. They get out, they got a home, they got a job, they got a business, they got a job. You understand what I'm saying? But they're watching out for their own. But we are so individualized mentally. They have us so trained mentally to hate our own, to hate us, to hate each other. We don't care if they live or die. I'm coming across inmates that can't get jobs. If they do to get a job, it's 750. Who can live on 750? And where? They don't have a place to live. I got one inmate now that's living in the shelter. His due date is to be gone by the 1st of December. Where is he going to go? They don't care. So guess what? If I take you to the end of your line and you don't have a job, you don't have a place to live, guess what? Just what's going to happen? You coming back, right? That's what they're counting on. How many do go back? A lot. Because when they get out of jail, they are trained in jail some to get a degree. They get the diploma, they get a degree, they get training that they can use in jail and get paid 5 cents for. But then when they come home, they can't find a job. But I was trained in jail, so why can't I use that same training that I got in jail? Why can't I use it out here? That's BS. If you train me in jail, when I come out of jail, I didn't spend my time. I didn't did my 20 years, 30 years, 45 years, whatever. And you still got my record jacked up. So I can't find no job. So intentionally, you doing this intentionally. You keeping me down. You asked on the application, have you ever been convicted? If I lie, I get fired. If I don't lie and you find out, I get fired. So how do I win? How do I win? You want to go to school, you can't because you got a felony. Because federal aid ain't gonna give you no aid because you got a felony. You feel what I'm saying? We get lost. But this dude just got trained in the jail. So why is it when he comes out, he can't use his training? Why is it he can't find an apartment to go to? Does the government have apartments set out for inmates? No. They say you can't live in an apartment because you got a felony. Okay, where are they going? They come out with no money. They don't have a job. They come out with absolutely no money, no stipend, no money, nothing. So you got to get your license back. You got to get all this stuff back. And then to go to training at one time, they said you had to have $300 or $400. They couldn't go. Where do they get $400 from if they're not working? But they still need training. You understand? So something's missing here. Something is very, very wrong. And it needs to be fixed. I don't know how. Ram in the bush has tried to fix it. We're trying. We hooked up with the unemployment office. My girlfriend works there. So when they come see me, if I can't do anything for them, I send them to her. She's got training, free training. They can get free training, but we still don't have housing. That's the biggest thing I'm looking at is housing. But they can't afford housing because they're making $750. They can't afford to pay anything. So they're in a transitioning home for I think three months, I think. But still some don't have a job when they come out because of their record. So what are we really doing here? They went in there. Why don't you clean their record up and give them a second chance? This is America for you. White boys get a second chance all the time. But then you come to black guys and they want to hold that over you. They don't care if you live or die, eat or not. You be out there stealing, robbing, killing. Okay. So what do you want me to go back to that? That's why this is important. How many judges are double dipping? The state actually has a contract with the jails, right? The state is paying the jail $100. Well, they used to. I know. I'm sure it's higher now. I couldn't prove this, but I knew when I worked in jail because I used to work there. They was paying $100 per inmate. I'm sure that was maybe over 20 years ago. I'm thinking 15 years like that. But they was paying $100. I'm sure they're paying a lot more now because you have over 2 million black men in jail right now. Black folk in jail right now, right? So the judge is getting paid, right? Because a lot of them have stock in CCA corrections. Okay, these are different corrections, right? Lorton correction, a lot of corrections. Judges have stock in there. So they're getting paid to send them to jail. And then they're getting paid when they send them to jail. They're getting paid twice, right? That has to be illegal. Lawyers, same thing. They have stock in the jail. They all know each other. They all in this together. They built a whole new jail in Georgia. You know, her brand new 55,000 bed, 50,000 bed is somewhere up in there in Georgia, right? Who you building that for? White boys? No. One or two may slip in there, but you're building that for our children. Because you know why I know? Because you're not educating them right. Half our children can't read. Half of them can't even pass reading tests. Half of them can't pass a math test. But it's all on purpose. Because if I don't educate you right, I don't have no discipline in that school. You get to do anything and everything. And I'm going to tell you something happened this week with my granddaughter. I was so upset. And she's been bullied, right? Seriously, I just found out about it. And it's been since last year. The girl's been messing with her. We tell them to tell, right? And I'm telling you this, I'm putting it together. Told my baby to tell. I said, tell. We've been telling her to tell. I didn't know this was since last year. Because she's been talking to me about this one girl. And I was like, you've been talking about her a long time. So the other day, she went to two people and told. She told the bus driver that the girl was harassing her on the bus. She'd get on the bus and for whatever reason, her and my granddaughter got into it. So she didn't want her sitting next to her anymore. So she told the bus driver the story, and the bus driver said, well, I can't do anything. It's a public bus. That's one thing. Now, that's one adult you talk to. Second adult she went to was an administrator, okay, who's over. That's her field, her job, right, is to handle bus issues. No, what she told her. She said, okay, I tell you what, one day you sit on the end, the next day the other girl sit on the end. That's not helping because you're supposed to separate them, right? So, of course, they still was going back and forth. So, of course, They had a mediation. Mediation said, okay, you're going to sit next to each other. You find somewhere to sit. Y'all squash it, blah, blah, blah. It's supposed to be squashed, right? The next day, the girl gets on the bus, sits right next to my granddaughter again. Okay, now this 3 strikes, no consequences, because once she did that, she broke that arbitration, right? So she should have gotten suspended. Nobody did anything. Now, the other day, my granddaughter, her got to scrapping, right? I mean, scrapping. I ain't never seen. That's the first fight my granddaughter's ever, because she usually you don't have to fight, but she had to, because the girl walked up on her. Now she didn't told, everything is written. She told 2 adults, and nobody did anything. Nobody solved the problem. So now we in the cafeteria. They're sitting at one end. You got 5 tables between them. They're arguing back and forth. 5 tables between them. You hear them yelling back and forth, right? The girl, what the hell, stop, So my granddaughter, okay, she, of course she run her mouth too, because she ain't gonna let you punk her out, right? So you got 4 workers in this cafeteria, and nobody intervened. Nobody said nothing. Nobody walked up to them. Now you hearing this? I'm in the cafeteria. I know I'm hearing something. Nobody walked up to them and said, "Y'all squash this. Okay, separate. You go over there and you go over there." Nobody did that. So of course the girl gets up. She comes walking up to my granddaughter. My granddaughter's sitting down, so she see her coming, and the girl said, "Get up." So of course my granddaughter's like, "Hey, you ain't finna get me sitting there." So of course they get into it, right? You had 4 workers and nobody could stop this. This has been going on for a whole year. So what is in place to stop any of this? You understand what I'm saying, forecast? Nothing, nobody said or done anything to stop any of this. So guess what? This could have gone a different way. What if the girl on the bus came on the bus with some other stuff going on? You know what I'm saying? So it could have been, so you mean to tell me if I go to an adult, they're not liable? They don't have to do anything? So now you got these girls scrapping. So now I'm going to give you 3 days because somebody dropped the ball. 6 adults dropped the ball. 6. You had 4 in the cafeteria and 6 adults dropped the ball. And these 15-year-olds fighting. It didn't have to get to that because you had 6 adults that could have jumped in there and intervened and de-escalated this before it got, because she went and told how many people. She told 2 people at least. So at least 2 people could. You see what I'm saying? So the system is failing our children. Why is the system failing our children? Because now you scrapping. So that could have went a different way. So now you could have got an assault charge. You feel me? You understand where I'm going? So that's why they didn't do nothing, because it could have went a whole different way. Because if you fighting, then blah 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 could have happened. So you're not doing anything because you have a plan for them to go to prison, to jail, right? You want to fill up them jails. So if I don't do anything, eventually they're going to fight. I know that. So then we're going to go and take, okay, something's wrong with the system. What do we do as Black parents? We have to fix the system ourselves. How do we do that? We get our children out of their schools. We get our men. We come together as Black people. We build our own communities. We keep our monies in our community. We support our communities. You can get a little small city. Say, for instance, you got a little town that's Black, right? Called Columbia, North Carolina, right? Met a girl that came from there. And she says majority Black, right? You got maybe a few Mexicans, but majority Black. You can take that Black city, right? And you can, because Black Wall Street was built on money. It was built on not voting. It was built on Black folk coming together and building. So therefore, you can come together, do co-op, get you a co-op school, right? That means the parents is paying for it, right? You can get a co-op supermarket, but that means that if I put money into it, I'm getting money out of it, right? You can build a co-op supermarket. You can build a co-op flea market where everybody will come there. If you have, well, we don't even call it a flea market, but that's what it's called right now because I can't think of another name. But everybody come there and put their businesses in there. So that means every business that you could think of is right there. So we don't have to go to Walmart's. We don't have to go to Kmart's. We don't have to go anywhere but to our little circle here. Okay, now you got land. See, I'm just showing Black folk how we can do stuff because I keep hearing we can't do this. I'm trying to show you, yes, we don't need them because they don't mean us no good. They don't mean our men no good. They don't mean our children no good. They don't mean the women no good because the women coming up missing and what they doing about it. Oh, it's a lot of holes that need to happen. We need to fill these holes, and we need to fill these holes ourselves. Our women and children coming up missing. You put a fence or a thing around your land, and I mean the whole city. You block it in. Anybody come over that wall, we tear their asses up. We have to do something because this is getting out of hand. We have over 2 million black men. We have over too many black folk. I'm gonna just say black people, over 2 million in jail. That's ridiculous. It's more black people in jail, and it can start a whole little city right there in jail, in prison. Got a whole city, 2 million people. That's a whole city, ain't it? You got a whole city in jail, and nobody is doing anything about it. Mississippi just had a whole jail that found a whole bunch of black bodies in the back of it, didn't? Who put them black bodies back there? And half of the families didn't even know where they were. Who's killing black folk in jail in Mississippi? But we shake our heads and we look the other way because it's not our son, it's not our brother, it's not our daddy, it's not our. But you agree with this man who did the 3 strikes law, 3 strikes. Him and Clinton did that, right? Biden, you gave this dementia man the highest seat, and he ruined your family, and you made him president. That's something's wrong with this picture. I don't know if anybody else is seeing it, but there's something wrong with this picture. I'll rest my mic. I hope I'm making myself clear.
Yeah, definitely. And we're gonna bring up some of the black school institutions, before we get off of here, but all right, let's just get into it. Let me pull it up. All right, so yeah, this is about the for-profit prisons, and so the original, and we're gonna kind of go through this and kind of see where we at now. So let's just play it.
There's been a huge increase in these stocks for these private prison companies.
I'm gonna skip around.
I almost went to jail once. In my mid-20s, for whatever reason, I picked up a habit of shoplifting from huge stores like Target. If you know anything about Target's asset protection team, you know what happened eventually. No staff, less. Even if you did know some of this, we got plenty of revelations in this video that'll shock you. Using inmates as overseers on what might as well be prison plantations, partnering with outside companies that price gouge basic necessities, denying release requests so they can make more money. These motherfuckers are evil. We want to take it one step further though, since this has been covered to death on YouTube already. We put up the biggest numbers. We prefer blacks, and the younger, the better. Nobody else even comes close. Let's take the UK as an example, since I used to live there. Say what you want about the OG colonizers. Cheaper for them to let these companies handle it. Party companies like Geo Group and Core Civic, formerly the Corrections Corporation of America, to run prisons for them. It's a win-win for both parties, since the government...
I used to work for them, CCA. Absolutely. I used to work for CCA when I was in DC. I lived in Virginia, but I worked, but I worked for CCA. And I'm telling you, it's a mess. It's all about the inmates. It's all about the inmates. But go ahead.
Okay.
And it's cheaper for them to let these companies handle it. What do the companies get? Millions. The lower they can keep their total costs, the more money they can squeeze out of this agreement for themselves and their shareholders. Oh yeah, these companies are publicly traded. You could benefit from an increase in prison revenues in a given year. Revenues derived from slave labor. How many people y'all got in prison up there? Something like 2.3 million. Hey, let's talk about racism. We never talk about that. By the year 2000, Black people made up almost half the state prison population. For those who don't know, we were only 13% of the total population of the US. And yeah, it's been over 2 decades since then, but it hasn't helped all that much. Black adults were still locked up at 5 times the rate of white adults by 2020. Y'all have heard data about how often we get locked up though. That ain't news if you've been watching the series.
I don't know why I got this dumb music in there.
Hold on,
years later.
Hold on. Remember what he said, and I want to correct something with this 13%. You mean to tell me we've been here over how many years? 400 or 500. I'm just saying, in America, right here. Okay, we've been in this thing, and I know we've been here longer, but over 500 years or whatever. I'm just going there. You mean to tell me ain't nobody been born and nobody died? How are we still at 13%? Everybody that comes here, they grow except Black people. We've been at 13% since I was little. I'm not buying that. I believe it's more of us than they're telling you, but they're not going to let you know that you're growing. Why would I tell these people that? Why would I say that it's you guys getting it's almost as much as you than it is us, because they're not reproducing, right? They ain't reproduced nothing. No, I mean their reproduction is done. They can't even catch up to where they can't even catch up. And you mean to tell me that we're still at 13%? I don't buy that. I don't buy that at all. I do not. I don't know how many it is of us. But if the Chinese come here and grow, the Mexicans come here and grow, but you mean we have babies like flies, right? Like roaches. We have our babies. And you mean we're not growing past 13%? I don't believe that at all. At all. So I really wish black folk would stop saying that, because they got you convinced that you ain't even growing yourself. They so busy killing you that you can't grow. They try to make you think that you guys have stopped growing because so many of you are dying. But no, as many die, as many as we give birth. So I don't believe that 13% at all. Now rest.
All right.
2022, black people were spending 12 days longer in jails than white people and being admitted 4 times as often. The younger we are, the more egregious those gaps get. And it happens to men more than women. Just in case y'all were curious, the total percentage of us in state prisons had dropped to 26% by 2022, but we were still 12% of the general population. I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. I was writing this and realized something. I'm tired of talking about this.
See, he did
Let's
too much in
establish
this show, bro.
how the hell we got to the
I don't
point
know
where
why
a
I keep
couple
playing all this
companies
music.
run such a parasitic industry that's damaging the lives of millions of people every day. More importantly, I want to investigate how humans get to the point where they can consider other people's distress to be collateral damage on the way to insane profits.
Blame it on my ego.
I wish we would give
Others
some of
like
the costs, how much it was, how much the judges make off of prisons, how much the lawyers make off of prisons. Oh, it's up there. It's up there. But they'll never tell you.
Right.
That's slave labor right there, baby. That's part of your constitution. That's why they left that piece in there. So if they go to jail, they consider slaves, right? So once they took you out of chains, but then put your ass behind bars. What's the difference? It's still the same. Go ahead, I rest.
Yeah, and I ain't gonna play too much more because this video is like kind of annoying me. It got all this music and doing too much in it.
And Training Corporation and LaSalle Corrections, but that pretty much exhausts the list. Core Civic was really the first to launch. It was founded by Terrell Don Hutto from his humble beginnings as a cotton plantation owner in Texas. Most prisons back then were functionally slave plantations, since they forced their mostly black population to pick cotton all day for free. The 13th Amendment, which we've mentioned before, literally codified that into law. Since prisons are the only exception to the abolition of slavery, that still hasn't changed.
No, Cam, that doesn't count. They committed a crime. It's not even close to the same thing.
Tell me why they had overseers then. The same Texas prisons that recruited Terrell Hutto to work for them gave certain inmates, called trustees, guns, axe handles, rubber hose, horse reins, baseball bats, and whips to do the real labor of keeping everybody in line and fulfilling work quotas. The entire Arkansas prison system was declared in violation of the Constitution's prohibition on cruel and unusual punishment in 1970. So naturally, the governor, Dale Bumpers, asked Hutto if he wanted to run things over there next. Apparently, that offer was too good to refuse, so Hutto picked up his fam and settled into a cushy house the former superintendent used to handle his responsibilities. And this can be a start in that direction. Playbook on tour isn't exactly my idea of the development and advancement of operating standards. But
all right, so anyway, you see the dude who was supposedly founded the first, well, had the first private prison. Let me see. Well, anyway, you saw that, but you know, and so this goes back, like you were saying, as we'll look at it, just real quick, ourselves, because this like started, after slavery is when they started locking you up because you was already And so
they had to come up with that constitution, put that in there. They think they smart. They always trying to be smart. They always think they smart doing something, but when they do something for you, it's always going to be against for your detriment. It's never going to be to work for in your favor. Never. Go ahead.
and yeah, and so what they would do is make everything illegal. Like, you know, it was illegal for Black people to even be homeless at a time, you know. And what they would do is arrest you, and then since your children couldn't take care of themselves, they would arrest them too and give them to, which would
Other
then would
folk.
be
They get
plantation
something.
owners. You know?
But then they take your job so you can't work, so you can't pay your rent. But then call it your fault. Okay. Gaslighting again. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they had this thing called like peonage, which was already illegal in America, but they still did it anyway. Where if you owe a debt, they can lock you up, you know. And so then the prisons would charge the prisoners for being in prison every day. So they would charge them more for being, and they would never be able to pay that debt. So you might go in for a little while, but since you was in jail, and now you didn't had a debt from being in jail for like a month or so. So now you got to stay in jail until you can fill this debt. But now you're getting every day that you're in jail is more debt. So some people essentially never got out. You know, this is doing like right in that after 1800s, after slavery and all that. And I'm only going to play like a minute because
Live. Coming up, they've been called 9 kinds of hell and legal slavery, and they could be coming soon to a roadside near you.
Gangs became a regular sight along roadways throughout the South. They were touted as a humane form of punishment.
Chain gangs were a reform. Chain gangs were a humanitarian effort to stamp out the convict lease system.
But chain gangs had a dark side. Corruption and abuses that made them little more than legal slavery.
Just something. Look at that.
Very few of them lived long enough to serve out their entire sentences. They simply died.
In 1932, the public was shocked by the release of a new book, I Am a Fugitive from a Georgia Chain Gang. The bestseller chronicled one man's desperate struggle to escape a hellish world of torture and punishment. If true, how could such a horrific practice exist in 20th century America? Join us for Chain Gangs.
all right, so you know we ain't gonna watch this whole documentary, but I just wanted to play that a little bit. Shouts out to Coco in the building. Appreciate you, my brother, for coming through. But so yeah, like you know, and this is just a little, and you can jump in too whenever. So what that led to was the whole convict leasing kind of thing. Let me see. So where they would then, which
Many
they still
Americans
do.
learn about white resistance to African American freedom that followed the Civil War and the Reconstruction era. Jim Crow laws, lynchings, and the Ku Klux Klan are some of the well-known chapters of racial terrorism in U.S. history. But America is not telling the full history.
Hell no, they're not. They
An
don't want it.
important
They don't want it out.
Back slavery.
Yeah, in fact.
They call it CRT, ain't it?
Right.
And then what Trump say? It's called it's too what did he say for their children is too he called it something. He didn't want it. What DIE is it? DIE diversity. Yeah, he didn't want. You know, I'm like, okay, but what about our children? They had to listen to your American history. The history that you want to hide is your history how you treated other people. So it's history. If you didn't want it out, you shouldn't have treated people the way you treated them. So now you don't want your children to know what kind of monsters you are. You know, ain't that still their history?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
After the Civil War has been passed over, left unexplained, and swept under the rug. After the Civil War devastated the South, its prison system became the testing ground for the reincarnation of slavery. Convict leasing was a system in which Southern states leased prisoners to private businesses. Convict leasing criminalized and essentially re-enslaved Black men, women, and even children who had been deemed free and equal by the Constitution's 13th Amendment.
The children
Yes, the 13th
chain gang.
Amendment outlawed slavery, except as a punishment for crime.
And then it also says, it said nor involuntary servitude. So if we can make you volunteer to serve you, that's cool too. But that's another story, you know.
Oh,
'Cause
God.
y'all gonna go to work every day voluntarily. So, but anyway,
This was a big loophole. Unfair laws called the Black Codes, harsh policing, white vigilante actions, and lack of due process in court all led to convictions. And then the convicts, who were often completely innocent, were turned over to a system of labor exploitation. They were forced to work from sunup to sundown in order to pay off the fines for their supposed crimes. African American.
to pay. See, that's what I'm saying. They would make them work to pay off for whatever they quote unquote did, but they were also being charged for being in jail. It's just like the sharecropping system, you know. They would do that whole thing with the sharecropping system, you know. But anyway, you know, that's the same thing, you know.
Americans were the vast majority of convict leasing's victims. Those who leased the convicts often requested them specifically by race. Everyone involved in running this lucrative system profited from forcing these prisoners to work under inhumane conditions that looked a lot like slavery. The 13th Amendment was turned into a tool for re-enslavement. More than a century after a quiet ending of Texas convict leasing system in 1912, a field in a prosperous Texas suburb would bring this forgotten history to life.
Story out of Sugar Land, where a construction site has turned into an excavation site. Crews working on a
In February 2018, Fort Bend Independent School District in Sugar Land, Texas, discovered human remains in what turned out to be an unmarked gravesite while constructing a school facility. By the summer, the remains of 94 men and 1 woman, now known as the Sugar Land 95, were excavated and put inside storage pods. All of them were African American convict lease prisoners who worked and died in the sugar plantations of Sugar Land. Archaeologists found haunting evidence of dehumanization: bones misshapen from backbreaking labor, gunshot wounds, signs of malnutrition and heat strokes, even chains. The remains were reburied where they were found, but there is no historical marker at the site or any indication of what happened there. So, what really happened? We are the Convict Leasing and Labor Project, and we have been at the forefront of the fight to preserve the Sugar Land 95's burial ground and ensure that they're properly memorialized. We believe it is important to understand how convict leasing took advantage of and discriminated against its victims.
It currently takes advantage of it.
We also believe it is important to realize that the forces of racism and profit that produced convict leasing have never been fully removed from the American criminal justice system.
Or even removed a little bit, despite what a lot of Negroes may believe and feel. And so then you go from that to, okay, well, they make it different. But now, so the first private prison for profit was opened in 1984. And if people pay attention to what happened in the 80s, you know, you would see where there's a boost in, and well, especially crime, because you know, like anything was a crime. Like stealing a pig would be like a crime, like
of course,
anything. But so private.
If you look wrong, you went to jail. You spit on the ground. You looked on the ground. You walked crooked. Oh God, it was crazy. It was crazy. I don't know why people. I'd have moved from the South so fast. I'd have got out of here.
So and you see here it said who makes money from
yes, who makes the money?
Puerto Rico.
Let's see.
We know who making that money. Ain't no black folk, honey.
The privatization of prisons and detention centers has been a source of debate for over 3 decades.
There has to be some things in our society that we agree are not a business opportunity.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with profiting off of anything The question is, are you providing a service with good quality, with humane conditions, and so on?
The moral imperative of government should be to deliver the best outcomes.
The U.S. privatized parts of its state and federal corrections and detention facilities in the 1980s. Two companies in particular, CoreCivic and Geo Group, have dominated the industry. But the uncertainty of a highly polarized industry stems mainly from the political climate. At the end of President Obama's second term, then Deputy Attorney General Sally Yates announced that the administration would phase out private prisons. CoreCivic and Geo stocks plummeted. 2 months later, President Trump was elected and the stocks soared.
There has been political sensitivity in our stock. It's unfortunate, but our focus continues to be operations. That's what we can control. We can't control the political dynamic.
But lately, things have taken a deeper turn. Democratic candidates call for a total abolition. A number of states have or could be banning the industry. And Wall Street is divesting. On top of it all,
They could be, but they didn't do it though.
no.
Right? They could have.
No, you think them judges gonna let
Maybe.
that happen? Shoot. People
They
making too much money off them. Like,
right. They are making money off of it. Like, why was they?
okay, why would you think they're gonna do that? That was wishful thinking, honey. They were like, they was wishing. Well, let's just put it out there. We know we're not gonna do it. Let's just make them think we're gonna do it.
Yeah. So this is because this is 4 years ago, right? And we know that Trump was out of there, and the investments went down supposedly, even though they, like Cassidra said, they had built bigger ones since then. But
Okay.
they was thinking about it. They thought about it, but this just hasn't happened.
Didn't think long about it, did they? Didn't think long. They had a prosecutor in there that was prosecuting them and leaving them in there longer than their time, longer than they should. Didn't he? A judge had to tell her, let them go. Harris, they've been in there too long. Let them go, girl. Let them go. Their sentence over. She didn't even want to let them go. Ain't that something?
Well, 4 years go by pretty quick. Maybe you can do it, I don't know. So 4 years wasn't enough time for them to do it. So
prison populations are decreasing.
That's a huge indictment.
Despite all the noise in the market, companies have very good liquidity.
How a company is structured on its balance sheet does not save it from a cultural revolution.
Well, I don't know if it's a breaking point or a time of change, but I think it presents, again, an opportunity for us to be more transparent about what we do.
Could this be the beginning of the end for private prisons? At the height of the war on drugs and tough on crime era, the country began imprisoning more people than ever. 750,000 people were incarcerated in America. By 1997, 1.7 million. With the growing prison population, so were the costs of operating prisons. From 1980 to 1994, operating costs of state and federal prisons went from $3 million to nearly $18 million. Wow. Overcrowding was becoming
from 1980 to 1994.
Wow.
Which was the first black president, Bill Clinton, at that time. Wasn't it like, I don't know, in 19, like, right?
Didn't he write a law too? Didn't he write a law too? Okay.
I don't know. He thought about ending it back then too, but he just went the other way.
Yeah. Well, his wife called our babies predators. Yeah, okay. Yeah, right.
Dollars to nearly $18 million.
Wow.
Overcrowding was becoming increasingly problematic, and the government couldn't keep up. Private prisons were established to help maintain the $10 billion industry. Private prison companies could build facilities faster without voter approval. They also claimed they could provide a higher quality at a lower price. But the accuracy of that claim has been under scrutiny. No compelling government study is conclusive one way or another. In 1996, the General Accounting Office stated that they were not able to conclude that privatization saved money. A Department of Justice study from 2001 claimed that the average savings from privatization was only about 1% and not the projected 20%.
There are a lot of accounting details that make it difficult to properly compare the cost between public and private. And actually, there are a lot of factors that make it difficult to compare quality.
The private prison model was simple: build and manage buildings and secure government contracts. Charge a daily fee for each bed you fill, something called per diem, or what is commonly referred to as mandies. In 1987, Corrections Corporation of America, CCA, today called CoreCivic, charged $32.17 per inmate. By 1997, it charged the government 33% more. However, the company's costs only increased by about 8%. The company's revenue grew 27 times.
Wow.
Brian Evans is the CFO of GEO Group.
So where do I look? At the camera or?
About 2/3 of GEO Group's revenue comes from federal and state corrections and detention contracts. ICE contracts make up a fifth.
Our business changed over the years. In 2003, the chairman and CEO, the founder of the company, George Zoley, had a directive at that time to expand the company into other service lines, diversify, if you will, and to own and operate more of the facilities. So that process started in about 2003. We were about $500 million in revenue. Today, we're about $2.5 billion in revenue. Some of that growth has been through acquisitions, about half of it through acquisitions, and about half of it through organic growth, new contracts, new facilities, et cetera.
Let us sustain us and keep us. Won't let it bring us any hurt or harm or danger. In Jesus' name I pray.
Amen.
In November 2019, CNBC visited a GEO Group prison in Florida. Asking citizens for journalists is unusual. But GEO was able to grant us access with state approval within a week.
We advocated on your behalf to be here because we want you to be here. And
so, anyway, so in other words, a bunch of crackers make money off of it.
Exactly. Always out of black folk. Always.
According to them, they're saying private prisons do the same thing where they lease out the convicts, right? Or they call it something different now, but
yeah, but they do the same thing. I've seen them in there. I mean, you have to understand Victoria's Secrets and a lot of businesses allow prisoners to do stuff for them. They work for these bigger companies. They just ain't gonna tell you that. And they're paying them inmates pennies. What, 5 cents maybe? 10 cents maybe? What is that?
yeah. So and then of course you have this prison. I don't even like playing their video.
Crime. You'll see more theft. You'll see
you
people who
probably
do
on the
things
side
out of
of it by now,
desperation. And you know, the for-profit industry is saying, hey, this is great. Okay, what other industry can you invest in that's actually going to make you money when the economy experiences a downturn? So these horrible people are looking forward to the demise of the country because their investors make money, they make money, they push tough on crime legislation. CCA and people who work for CCA are the scum of this planet.
Right. And what they also do is they create this environment where, like, if you buy stock in Ford Motor Company, right? You hear that American cars are selling. You hear that a Ford sold. Oh, that's great. You buy stock in CCA, you hear someone's arrested and you're excited.
Yeah,
I mean,
you hear that a non-violent drug offender is going to serve 10 years in prison.
Or an illegal immigrant. And it's like, oh, that's great. That's great for my wallet, for my back pocket.
It's sick. It makes me disgusted. And look, there are so many downfalls to these for-profit prisons. And, you know, just to give you an example of it, there was a documentary done by Kevin Booth. And the name of the documentary was American Drug War because, you know, the drug war has a lot to do with these private prisons and how they profit. And I want to show you guys a little snippet of his documentary because I really think it's nicely done. And it just gives you a bit of an example of how these for-profit prisons take advantage of bankrupt cities. Let's watch.
Not far from Bakersfield, California is the small town of Taft, once home to a thriving oil industry. But like so many oil towns across America, the oil finally dried up. Like many bankrupt towns.
Hold on, Troy, because how the oil dry up? Where it go? How oil dry up?
I don't know.
Go ahead.
Like many bankrupt towns, a private prison stepped in to save the day. The Taft Correctional Institution is owned by the Geo Group, formerly known as Wackenhut. Wackenhut changed its name after a storm of bad publicity.
Mm-hmm.
The Geo Group is the leader in providing diversified services to government agencies around the globe. Our global expertise in outsourcing includes the design, construction, financing, management, and operation of jails, prisons, and special purpose institutions, and immigration and detention centers.
They trade their stock on Wall Street based upon the number of people that are in jail. If that isn't sick, if that isn't the best definition of sickness in a society, in a culture, in a civilization, I can't tell you what.
Making money off inmates.
The name of the documentary is American Drug War, and again, it was created by filmmaker Kevin Booth. You guys.
All right, and so then we know what happens next, right? So then, after the private prisons, then you have.
So my wife got me this.
I don't know if this is the right one, but hopefully it is. All right, about the pushing of these private prisons, right?
On this bill, the underlying bill, which is now the Biden-Hatch bill, was the Biden bill.
It was
a guy
the Biden
named
bill.
Biden wrote that bill, and he wrote that bill by going down and sitting down with the President of the United States of America, not with his Attorney General, not with anyone else, with Bill Clinton, President of the United States of America, who between the time he got elected in November until the time he was sworn in, called me at my home on 6 separate occasions. And he unfortunately has
together, huh?
a lot of sleep.
Right, that happened.
Sometimes literally, and I say this on the record, as late as 11:30 at night, to discuss why I wasn't moving quicker on the Biden crime bill from before.
You ain't hurry up yet?
Not with his attorney general. He wanted 100,000 policemen. He does not view this as a social
Not
issue
the first
as
black
opposed
president.
to trying to bring peace and security to the streets. As governor of the state,
Acted like he loved black folk, didn't he?
he presided over
He had a
as governor the execution of individuals within the state and the death penalty. He supports the death penalty. He is the fellow who insisted that I bump this up from initially to when I said, where are we going to get the money? He said, well, all I know is I want 100,000 cops. I made that commitment. He had endorsed the Biden crime bill as a candidate when he ran. He is the one who talks about the need for stiffer penalties.
And black folk voted for him. Ain't that something?
The old Democrats and former presidents who were Democrats before Carter, I suspect. I don't know who we're talking about here. But in the old days, it is true. When Richard Nixon was running for president, Richard Nixon used to talk about law and order, and the Democratic response was law and order with justice, whatever either one of those meant. I never knew. I was running then in 1972. I didn't think Richard Nixon knew what it meant, and I didn't think the opposition knew what it meant. This president is very, very straightforward and simple. He knows there are 2 basic steps here. One step is you must take back the streets. And you take back the streets by more cops, more prisons, more physical protection for the people. He also understands what my friend from Texas understands, and he doesn't talk a lot about, but he signed on to in this bill. He also understands the need to keep people who are first-time offenders, who are nonviolent offenders, or who are potential first-time offenders who haven't gotten, I yield myself an additional 3 minutes, who in fact are people who are getting themselves into the crime stream for the first time, that they should be diverted from the system. So I hope this crime bill, when it passes, the Biden-Hatch crime bill, as it becomes law, God willing, I hope that we will have ended once and for all this notion that is a hangover from the 60s, that somehow Democrats are weak on crime and Democratic presidents are weak on crime and Republicans are tough on crime. The truth is, every major crime bill since 1976 that's come out of this Congress, every minor crime bill has had the name of the Democratic senator from the state of Delaware, Joe Biden.
Every one of them?
That bill, and has had a majority vote of the Democratic members of the United States. Making the streets safe is not a Democratic or Republican issue.
Thank you. It's not we're the only ones that make it about Republican Democrat issues. They don't make it about that. They know that all of us is Negro, like we're one big Negro to all of them. Like we like, no. This is the good white people over on this
Exactly.
side.
Ain't that something? And it's all the same demons and devils. Same demons and devils. Got a demon and the devil. Which one is worse? I'm gonna pick the demon over the devil. Ain't that something? What in the world? Ain't that about the dumbest thing? When I hear people saying, I'm gonna pick the best of the two evils. What does that mean? That's some shit that you come out of your butthole with. Who says that?
Yeah, I'm gonna escape.
Ooh, how can one be better than the other? If they're both, if you have two bad witches, what we get the one that's gonna do the less curses? What?
And the crazy part, the good one is the one that had his name on every bill since 1977 that put you in jail. He said every one of them.
Everyone. Ain't that something? Ain't that something? How many black folks knew that?
This is one of those issues I hope this passage of this bill will do.
I just want to play
will be
one
taken
part.
out of the gridlock. An emerging consensus. And the consensus is as follows, and I will cease when I finish this statement.
Of course they're gonna have a commercial.
Of course.
Anyway, I don't care why they are who they are.
Exactly. Lock them up anyway. I don't care how they got there. We did it, but I don't care.
Mm-hmm. But this is, I say it like every time you say it, we must take back our planet. Damn it, like say it. Put yourself in their position. Like the brother was saying,
the streets.
Must take back.
It
planet.
doesn't matter whether or not the person that is accosting your son or daughter or my son or daughter, my wife, your husband, my mother, your parents. It doesn't matter whether or not they were deprived as a youth. It doesn't matter or not whether or not they had no background that enabled them to become socialized into the fabric of society. It doesn't matter whether or not they're the victims of society. The end result is they're about to knock my mother on the head with a lead pipe, shoot my sister, beat up my wife, take on my sons.
Sound like he was describing the PD, the police department to me.
No.
I'm just saying. Sound like he's describing the police department. How many black folk do that to white folk? Oh, okay. I'm just saying. They do it to each other. Maybe he meant his brother, but he didn't talk about black folk. We don't mess with white folk like that.
Right. Ain't nobody messing with his these crackhead sons too busy getting
or his crackhead daughter.
Okay. Right. Messing with strippers, getting high with strippers. He worried about something.
Nobody mess with that pedophile. Shoot.
All right. And I don't care why he is. Like, I don't want them around my children. I know that. And do you know why?
Well, thank God you saved all of our children from being around your crackhead son. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And shout out to Raw in the building. But all right, so yeah, and then after that, then we start seeing this more and more, where you have the school to prison pipeline. I guess that's
Oh yeah.
America's public schools are failing students in multiple ways.
Yes,
one of the most disruptive is the process by which students are funneled out of public schools and into the juvenile justice system. It's called the school to prison pipeline, and there is increasing evidence that it starts as early as preschool. The school to prison pipeline primarily victimizes Black students, trapping them in a cycle of incarceration.
I want to believe that every student wants to overcome the societal predictions of what's placed on them because of their race, sex, and the socioeconomic status.
Increasingly, schools are cracking down on small offenses, such as cutting classes or being disrespectful. This is supposed to discourage more serious infractions like drug or weapons possession, but what constitutes as disobedience or disrespect can be very subjective.
I don't know why all of this.
A study in Texas found that 97% of the state's suspensions were made for subjective reasons, made at the discretion.
It's all subjective. They make up whatever the hell they want to make up.
As they
That's
go.
the point. Like, they locking you up for stuff that they just do on the regular. You know what I'm saying? Like,
what they kids do every day.
Mm-hmm. They call you a thief, meanwhile steal everything they have. And we like, oh yeah, I ain't know, like, we buy into it, and then I don't know why all these videos got this dumb music on it. And, like, when people make these videos, stop putting the dumb music in there.
In our school system can be measured in a number of ways. But one of the most troubling examples is what's referred to as the school-to-prison pipeline. That is when Black youth face more discipline and harsher penalties in schools than white students. As a result, it puts them in direct contact with law enforcement and potentially sends them down the wrong path and through the justice system. There's a lot to unpack here. So City News reporter Mark McAllister joins us live now it is a troubling reality, Mark. And you are also looking at a new initiative aimed to help with the reform. Good morning.
Good morning, Mel. Yes, well, when we look at the situations involving young people that are in trouble as they make their way through the school system, it's handled in different ways. When we look at specific examples, sometimes they'll just be sent to the office. Other times it ends up in some sort of discipline where they end up going home from school for a day or two. It's all in how it's handled, though, in those situations, and some situations are different from others, and that's what we're looking at now. Does it end up in their parents having to talk to them, their teachers mentoring them, or does it involve police at some point? And so that's what this organization is looking at specifically. I want to introduce you to a man who admittedly had problems when he was in school, but there was one particular situation where he had some issues. He ended up in a confrontation with a teacher. Some words were said, and this is what happened.
There was a conflict that we had, and as a result of that, I got expelled, and the way that I found out I was expelled, it's like police came to my door and said that I wouldn't be allowed back on school property, and if I did, I'd be charged for trespassing. But at the time, I didn't know I was expelled. I was only suspended, So that scared me and my mom, right? And we're like, why wouldn't we hear this from the school first?
One small example. Now, that's Marley Lawrence. He's now 21 years old, and I can tell you that he has since been involved in a number of programs.
Yeah, so you know that whole.
That's so sad.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? Maybe this will make us, even us knowing this, and you have all of this stuff on, the school to prison pipeline. We know this. This is nothing new. Why is it that we still have our children in their schools, knowing that they're training your children to go to prison? That is I can't understand that word. I cannot understand it. But when you're talking to Black parents and you say, hey, we have schools that you can actually send your child to, they'll look at you like, what are you talking about? They look at you like you want to, you hear white parents, you want to go backwards? You want to go back to segregation? And I'm like, yeah. Why? It's not working. We've been with you guys. We've tried this together. We've tried to run down this brick road with you guys, and it's not working for us. And Black parents look at you like, leave white people? Leave their school system? Leave the best education that my child has ever gotten? What? You swallowed the Kool-Aid too? Do you know how your child is being treated around nothing but white kids? You got a whole school full of white kids and 4 Black students. How is that better? How is that atmosphere better? How is the education better? How are they having a better experience with the white kids, with the racist white kids? Because they'll say, oh, all of them ain't bad. Well, okay, all snakes ain't either. But you don't know which one is, do you? Stick your hand in the jar. I don't want to stick my hand in the jar full of snakes when I don't know which one is poisonous. And that's dealing with white folk too, because you can't tell until you can tell. But you want me to believe that my child is getting the absolute best education around them. And you got Black folks swallowing that hook, line, and sinker. And their child is getting traumatized by them white students. And they come in and they so traumatized that you see Johnny changing right in front of your face. You go, man, what's wrong with my baby? He ain't used to act like that. Okay, go back. When did it start? Last year he was good. This is a new school. This is a white school. Did it start this year when he went to the St. Peter's of whoever? When did it start? If you're honest with yourself, you'll understand that when you put your child in their school system at age 5, kindergarten, preschool, that's when it starts. They start as early as preschool, messing with your young baby. Daycare, when they don't feed your child and they feed the white students, your child got to sit up there and look at them eating. And they can't tell you, mommy, they didn't feed us today. But your child, you get your child and they eat like they ain't ate all day. You be, boy, you eat like you ain't ate all day. He didn't. They just fed the white kids. But you ain't thinking like that because you don't think they're gonna do no harm to your child. When on your job they doing harm to you on your job. But you think they're gonna treat your child better? Being with no supervision? Really? Okay. How's that working for your Black family? Look at our school system. Look at our school system now. There's wild kingdom up in there. They act just like those children. They act just like them. But ours going to jail. Theirs not. Then they come and they get lesser sentences. I've heard it from some white children, white kids. I've heard it. We stole a car. We get to jail. We got lower sentences. We thought we was gonna get some jail time. We got slapped on the wrist. We didn't get to go to jail, even though we broke into school. Oh, I hear them. And I'm like, wow, look at this. If that had been my child, they'd have still been in juvie. They'd have still went to jail and tried as adults. But I rest. Let this be something you think about, family. I rest. Go ahead.
So how much do prisoners make per inmate? Okay, she said.
We're the fluffiest.
My bad.
The County Office, your ultimate guide to local government services and public records. Let's get started.
How much do prisons make per inmate? Have you ever wondered how much prisons make per inmate? According to a report by the Vera Institute of Justice, the average cost of incarcerating an inmate in the United States is $31,286 per year.
Wow.
However, the amount of money prisons make per inmate varies depending on...
And the crazy part is, do you know how much it costs to educate a child in America?
How much?
It's like $10,000 or $12,000. It's probably more now, but it was like it costs more to prison somebody than to educate them. But they put more money into prisons than education.
Exactly.
And the state and the type of facility. Private prisons, for example, can make anywhere from $30 to $200 per day per inmate. In some cases, prisons also generate revenue through inmate labor programs. Inmates may work in industries such as manufacturing, agriculture, and construction, and the products they produce are sold for profit.
Agriculture, that's like a plantation, a field.
Yes, fruits. Yep. Greens, fruits, all that kind of stuff outside in the field. Yep.
That sounds like convict leasing and whatever was 1 year ago. So
profit. It's important to note that while prisons may generate revenue from inmates, the cost of incarceration is still a significant burden on taxpayers. Additionally, the profit motive of private prisons has been criticized for incentivizing...
So you mean I'm telling me I'm the one that's paying for this, for my own destruction?
That's right. Yep, giving your money to prisoners and illegals. That's why you ain't got none.
If this is the case, why people ain't mad about this?
Exactly.
I would be pissed off if I had known this.
Exactly.
And there's some... See, people, I'll be like, yo...
They mad about the wrong stuff, forecast. Mad about the wrong issues. This is what they should be mad about. Your taxpayers going to hear. Go ahead and finish it so they can hear.
Mass incarceration and neglecting the well-being of inmates. Overall, the amount of money prisons make per inmate is a complex issue with various factors at play. It's important to consider the ethical...
how many different white people get a piece of it.
Exactly.
So
this is the average hourly wage that people in prison make, 52 cents. And in at least 7 states, most prisoners aren't paid for their work at all. Certain essentials are free in some prisons, but other stuff you might consider essential, like deodorant, shampoo, or thermal clothes for the winter, often cost money. For some incarcerated workers, like 65-year-old Ricardo Farrell, a day's wages as a prison observation aide can't even buy 8 ounces of coffee. As a GED tutor behind bars, 47-year-old David Delena would need to work 10 hours to afford just 1 pen, and over 27 hours to afford paper. And some incarcerated people provide goods and services on the outside. In areas nationwide, they battle wildfires, clean up highways, and build furniture for schools. In Florida, incarcerated people have worked on hurricane debris crews without pay. They also identify and verify license plates that pass through toll booths without paying. Still, prisoners often have to come up with creative side hustles behind bars to make ends meet. This is the average hourly...
So, not only are they making that much money, they're giving them... if that's not slavery, I don't know what is.
Ain't that something? But the judges, that's where your money going right there. That's who pockets really getting lined.
And so these are well, I was looking for something different. All right, so I guess I'll put 12 major corporations that are benefiting, because I was looking for, I guess I didn't take enough time. I was trying to hurry up. But these is companies that invest into the, the prison system to get something. So you have like McDonald's, Wendy's, Walmart. There goes Starbucks. You know what I'm saying? Like we protested Starbucks on behalf of some Arabs. Now for millions, like Cassidra said, a city full of black folks locked up. Are you willing to stand up for them, or just only got to be Arabs or other people? Sprint, Verizon, to all of these companies, and Fidelity Investments, JCPenney, Kmart, and the airlines are invest. I was looking for something different, but I ain't put enough time into finding the right thing. And so these ones, they contribute. They also, if you look at campaign donations, it'd be interesting to check both Trump's campaign and Kamala Harris and Joe Biden and George Bush and Bill Clinton. It'd be interesting because y'all seem to think that they're separated, as if they're not all making money together, right? As if you invested in somebody, like they would have your back or something. So, of course, you had this here, the war on drugs here.
So now, while we're talking Nixon as well, the whole war on drugs, we have to keep in mind that this was about putting a hard line when it comes down to drugs.
America's public enemy number one in the United States is drug abuse.
Even Governor Nelson Rockefeller from New York followed the same pattern as Nixon for drug pushing, life sentence, no parole, no probation. His policies ensured 15 years to life in prison for drug users and dealers, creating the growth of a massive correction system that currently houses, this number here says 2.2 million. Now watch this. Most common types of crime: drug trafficking, 65,000. 2, firearms, sexual abuse, robbery, child pornography, immigration, fraud, theft, embezzlement, murder, money laundering, assault. But look at drug trafficking. Drug trafficking alone is more than all the other combined. So now, while we're talking Nixon as well, the whole war.
And this dude, anyway, he ain't really nobody to listen to, but let me see.
What caused this spike in private prisons? Well, when we look at the prison system, it's from 1950 to 2016. So you would notice the same as 1950 as 1970. But if you go to 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, and then boom, we go from 200,000 inmates to 1.6 million. How? Why? What happened during that time? Don't you want to know? I'm curious. There was something that happened called the War on Drugs, June 17, 1971. The crime and punishment on certain things you did with drugs, crack, all this stuff went complete different level. People went to jail. Was that a business model? Was there incentive for it? Matter of fact, let's take a look at the population growth from the same exact period from 1950 to today. If you look at that chart with the blue line going up, we're growing every year, right? But if you look at the previous system, the numbers that we looked at inmates, so our population is growing like this, inmates going like this, and then all of a sudden inmates goes like this, right? And surpasses it. What was the purpose of war on drugs? Was it a business idea? What
was the war on drugs? And this part should have been after the Joe Biden part, because that's what came after the speech. Well, of course, the war on drugs was beforehand, but they increased it with the crime bill, and they continue to do the same thing. Because he, like he said, his name was probably on that because it was since 1977, so his name was likely on that. And so, that whole war on drugs, that whole era. And see, this is what we don't even talk about. That was we still recuperating from the crack epidemic, because we know how they hired and some brothers took the job to sell it to their own people, but they didn't have the boats and the planes. They funded a small war using drug money, right? And brought the drugs from the country they was doing it. And then on top, like that was the front end. So we had enough money to fund a small war, if you think about it, right? Because they made money off of selling the drugs in our community to fund this war, right? It was like some Nicaraguan war or something like that.
Exactly.
And then on the opposite end of that, they made billions of dollars locking you up for the drugs that they put into your communities.
In your neighborhoods. But then they didn't think it was going to impact the white folk. It ended up impacting them too. But remember, before they did the drug thing, they asked Congress for so much money and Congress denied it, right? So they had to do it another way. So that's when they came up with the bright idea. We're going to do the drug way. We're going to do da-da-da-da-da-da. And we gonna get the money that way. Ain't that something? And nobody went to jail. Ain't that something? How about that, America? You can put drugs in people's area and they sell it because you took their jobs. Don't forget that. You shut down some jobs too. We have to plan this thing. Shut down some jobs, put some drugs in their neighborhood, go ahead and sell it. Then we're gonna catch them for selling it. And we're going to give them years upon years for selling it because they wanted to eat, because they didn't have jobs that we took away from them. Okay. Boy, I tell you, if this country don't pay, honey, I tell you, they got some paying to do. I hope Nixon and Reagan in hell where they belong. with the biggest drug pen sitting right there, standing right over them. The biggest, blackest drug pen.
And like you said, like most of the people that, because we know about all of that, how like most of the drugs that they take, they don't do, but let a black person have anything, then they're getting locked up for however long.
Years.
You know?
Way back in the day, I knew a guy that was driving and got caught with all this. That dude got like 25, 30 years, 35 years in jail. That's for. And I'm like, who did he kill? Did he kill somebody while he was doing that? That's a non-violent offense. And you got 30 years? Really? Wow, that's crazy. And of course, he's Mexican.
Yeah, and that's the thing, you know, most black people, right? Because they always be like, yo, this violent. If black people was I wish we were as violent as they claim that we were, you know. Because we wouldn't have lasted. Most black people are in jail for non-violent drug offenses.
Yep.
You know, and if you look at it, it's like 50 something. But like, even if you look at violent crimes, it tends to go down. But if you look at murder, rape, assault, all of these things is white dudes. You know what I'm saying?
That's what the FBI said, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But most of the people in jail is for non-violent drug offenses. You know,
non-violent years, 30 years. But then Kim Porter got 2 years for murder. What Amber Guy gave 12 years for murder. Ain't that something? You got less time for murdering a person than you did for drugs. That's crazy. That's crazy.
So, and so yeah, then now this is what I was trying to tell people before, right? I guess they call it prison gerrymandering, but basically how they use inmates to shape these elections that y'all don't even talk about, right?
Oh wow, let's talk about that.
We talk a lot, and it's not only just that though, because you know how they do it with like how they drop districts and stuff like that, you know, because it's leading to redlining, but they also go by population, right? So if you are locking a lot of people up from a certain population and then shipping them to prisons in white areas, it actually counts towards that their population, so that area gets the resources, even though the people are in prison.
Right.
You know?
Ain't that
and I was saying this back, and I guess people are saying it now. I don't know. They must have been saying. I didn't even know they had a word for it, but I just put it together because if you think about it, because you always hear them shipping prisoners from Florida to Ohio.
I used to wonder about that. Okay. Oh
and
my
so,
goodness.
And then you look at the electoral college that based off the state's population. And so the prisoners count within the state's population, you know, and so that state gets more funding, they get more voting, they get more all type of stuff, you know, based off of them sending prisoners to that state, you know what I'm saying?
My goodness, I didn't even know that.
Mhm.
Wow, ain't that something?
Yeah,
So our prisons are good for something.
yeah, and see,
Ain't
that's what
that
I'm
something?
saying. And I didn't even know that they had a thing for it because I ain't seen nobody saying anything about it. I just was looking at the election like in 2016, and I was like, yo, they keep sending prisoners, and then I was looking at, then they was like the electoral college goes by population, but the prisoners boost the population,
But they can't even vote.
but they
So
can't vote.
why are you even counting them? Ain't that crazy? That's about the craziest thing.
You know what it sounds? It sounds like the 3/5 compromise, right? How it you know what I'm saying? Like it's still in effect when I be trying to tell people all of that, It's like, how they said the slave thing is for 3/5 of population.
Yeah.
And so, like just because this person can't vote, it still counts towards the population, just like with slaves, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, so I'll play a little bit.
On this
They
show
finally
about
saying that on
democracy,
here.
we talk about voter suppression, we've talked about gerrymandering. But this particular angle on all of that, what I'm about to talk about, well, it's a real doozy. Have you heard of prison gerrymandering? Yes, prison gerrymandering. It's a real thing. And here's how it works. The Census Bureau policy in this country is to count people as residing wherever that person lives and sleeps most of the time. It's known as their usual residence. For millions of inmates across the US, that means the address of the state or federal prison facility where they're located is listed as their primary address, regardless of where they came from. So when the census comes around, what ends up happening is instead of prisoners being counted in their home districts, they're counted in the mainly small, mainly white rural towns where the prison facility that they're in is located, and where they also, of course, have no vote. And it has a devastating effect on their actual home district, reducing the supposed populations there, while artificially boosting the population in these prison towns. One redistricting expert in Connecticut calculated that 9 of the 151 state house districts that were able to meet their required minimum population solely because of prisons within their borders. And 8 of those 9 districts were, wait for it, predominantly white. According to that expert, if the state stopped counting prisoners where they are locked up, 22 districts would need to be redrawn.
So that means the money they get for their schools, the money they get for everything in that area, should not even be going to them.
Everything about white folk is crooked. Everything that they do when it comes to us is crooked. And when it comes to themselves too. Everything they do. There is not one system that they have that's an even kill system. Not a one. But that don't make you mad enough to take your children and get away from them. That don't make you mad enough to go and want to buy your own land and educate your own babies. That don't make you mad enough. Because if you would separate from them and you have your own legal system, your own mayors, your own governors, your own everything, and let them have theirs, do you think we'd be going to jail like this? Separate from them? I'm just saying.
Yeah, thanks.
Connecticut Governor Ned Lamont signed a law ending prison gerrymandering in the state earlier this year, but it's not just happening there. In Juneau County, Wisconsin, prisoners account for a stunning 80% of the entire population of
80%. See, I didn't even know it got like this. I was thinking of places like Ohio and stuff.
80%. That's crazy. And Wisconsin is big for that. Wisconsin, Ohio, Florida. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I was like, why did they keep they was doing it in like 2016, 2015?
Oh,
why
yeah,
do they keep sending
bad,
Ohio from Florida to Ohio and from Florida to different cities? And it would like have something to do with like a lot of stuff. So, even their elections, like that's why I'm like, y'all is tripping, even talking about their elections and being based off the electoral college. They do little stupid stuff like this, because that's just what they are. You know what I'm saying?
Because they're gonna always tilt the scale toward them. Always. And we think these people so honest.
Yeah.
District. 80%. And in Rhode Island, prisoners in one house district account for nearly 16% of the population, even though only 4% of them are actually from that district.
So when they be like, oh yeah, it's something black population in Rhode Island, you got to ask how many of them are locked up and was sent up there in the first place.
Right. Oh my goodness. Yes. Yeah.
Or like Oregon, like we know that first rifleman up there right now.
Oh my
But
God.
other than that, you know, most of the black population could be locked up. We don't even know.
Yep.
Rhode Island is now debating whether to end prison gerrymandering, as they should. No sane person thinks prison is where these people live. It's where they are being held for a crime that they may or may not have committed. I mean, which prisoner would describe their 3 hots and a cot as their home? It's ridiculous and it's racist. Let's not forget that in the US, black and brown Americans make up a disproportionate number of prisoners. In 2019, 56% of the United States' prison population was black or Latino, despite these groups making up only 32% of the overall population of America. Think about how discriminatory prison gerrymandering is. It beggars belief. A white rural town can have a prison filled with black and brown people. They can then legally bolster their own electoral power, saying, we've got all these residents, but those residents can't vote. These white rural towns are basically inflating their own power and influence by using the presence of non-voting black men behind bars.
See, I said this like when I first got on here, this is what I was trying to say. And like, yo, I was like, it just doesn't, that's how they keep the resources and all of that stuff to themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it didn't matter who was the president since then. That was what I'm trying to tell you, right? They do the same thing because they all get funded by these corporations because America itself is a corporation, it's a business, right? And you know what the money making business of America is? Your blood. You know what I'm saying? Your blood shedding sweat and tears, because you can't forget your sweat and your tears, because that is valuable too. But your blood is the most valuable thing that they can have. So I'm telling you, like, everything in America is this way, you know?
Everything.
It's outrageous to even say it out loud. So what's the solution to prison gerrymandering?
Yeah, my brother at the beginning said the solution, the only one solution.
Oh, we're going to hear that again. You need to go. We're going to hear that. Before we go, we're going to hear that again. Go ahead.
Back with us to discuss his...
All right. And then, of course, you know, we already talked about this. And then, of course, you know, the thing that we do know about prisons that has always been a thing, how they ran tests and experiments and all kind of stuff on black people. So.
Didn't Camilla pay for them to have transgender surgeries?
Oh, what'd you say?
Didn't Camilla pay for them to have the transgender surgeries in jail?
Yeah. The commercial says she's for they, them, not you.
Okay, go ahead. I'm just wondering.
It really was the Kmart of human experimentation from 1951 to 1974.
Holmberg Prison closed in 1996, but Alan Hornblum says what happened during the 50s, 60s, and 70s will live on forever. The researcher showed us photos inside his book, Acres of Skin.
Well, what you see in this bottom picture is the prototypic experiment that took place at Holmesburg. In some cases, it could just be very plain soap. In other cases, it could be a carcinogenic chemical. The inmates were never told.
Hornblum was a literacy instructor at the prison in the 1970s when he noticed many black prisoners in bad shape. He says UPenn dermatologist Albert Kligman led experiments on prisoners. The inmates were paid $1 a day, but it cost them their health. For his book, Hornblum spoke to Dr. Kligman before he died.
You see that? They always be like, oh, we give you a dollar, a quarter. You know
Ain't that something? A quarter. Ain't that something for your health?
And they be like, oh well, we paid the Negroes, so and Negro be like, well, I do needs this dollar now. I need this dollar.
Yeah.
You know, your health, you are more valuable than that. You know, like just you as a resource itself is more valuable.
Always giving us money for our anything and everything. Pay a Negro $1, and you can have it.
Yeah. He will tell you his body while he's still in that joint.
Sure will.
In 2010.
He thought what took place here was fine. According to his observation, the inmates were treated fairly.
Philadelphia shut down the experiments in 1974, 2 years after the Tuskegee syphilis experiment made national headlines. But the damage to the former...
Is that 2 years afterwards?
2 years. Yeah, right.
That's what they say. They say it shut down.
Inmates was already done.
They have lots of fears and regrets. They never really learned what they were testing or being injected with.
Almost a half century later,
and you know, and this is more a conspiracy theory, so I ain't gonna say it like that, but all I'm saying is, like, we was healthy, like black people was skinny and shape. Now we like diabetes like crazy. We don't know what we eating every day. We don't know what we breathing in every day, you know. And they test you in every single way. Europeans is crazy. They want to test you while you were like gynecology was because they was testing on black women. You know that, you know.
Oh God, yes. Woo, honey, what we went through.
What they do is like they will test you, they study you, they learn you so that you would remain good slaves and sit there and argue about the lesser. It's not even, it's by design that you argue about the lesser of two evils, and we don't even know it though. And you would argue with your brother, separate your brother for not being a Democrat, not being a Republican, when all of them want to kill you, and it's based off your bloodshed, you know. The thing about America is they do want to kill you, you know. But
survey shows 53% of blacks view medical scientists positively compared to whites and Hispanics.
I'm not surprised at all.
Dr. Ayla Stanford heads the Black Doctors COVID-19 Consortium, a group of predominantly black doctors who offer free testing in Philadelphia's low-income neighborhoods. Black communities in Philadelphia have a disproportionately high number of COVID cases and deaths. The consortium is working to break down the walls of mistrust among African Americans.
But you actually listen to what they're asking and you show them the testing kit. You demonstrate how it's going to be done.
And Dr. Stanford.
Well, I will say I did not have to do that, and I was good. What do you know?
I know that's right.
I never got sick. Ain't that about it?
Ain't that something?
And they was ready to say they was gonna fire people and stuff. They still fire people right now. I know somebody with a job. They still got to get it and prove that they get a test, or they got to, you know. And to this day, I ain't doing it. I know I ain't doing it.
I don't give a damn what. I told them I wasn't doing it. I would have didn't care. I ain't doing that. Killing myself. I ain't trusting y'all. Y'all don't own y'all. No. I know what the history of medical did to black folks.
Yeah.
I know who is. They changed their name from back in the day. Look up and see who was. Who wasn't always who. Okay? Who had something to do with that gonorrhea stuff. They changed their name. Don't play with me.
Right.
Don't play with me.
And you know, this was another one, different experiments, but everything they've done has been experimenting on us and doing all type of weird, crazy stuff to us. Now, what I do want to talk about before we get off here, Cassidra, we have to shout out to because I know we was going to talk about like the school thing. So what we have to do is get back to you know, black owned schools.
Yes.
Yeah, and so these are some black owned schools. Well, that's what they say, and it's black owned schools and all that. But I will talk about some of them. Damn, I don't even know which one I had. But anyway,
Institute in DC.
Yeah, I got this one. Yeah.
I want to say I'm so sorry for your loss of your son, Ricky.
Okay, here. All right, so let me put this in YouTube. But yeah, this is their website right here. I don't want to click on it because my computer might freeze right now.
Yeah, now that's the main one. I interviewed him maybe a couple years ago on my channel.
Yeah. I'll play this quick one, I guess. All right, so definitely getting into the STEM field, and we used to do lives on here, and just like when we talk about anything real, people don't have nothing to say or engagement. It's only when we debating or arguing about something that people have something to say, But when we talk about things like this, but as long as people let their children just listen to it, and then maybe they're the ones that got to get into it, the STEM field and all of them, but they have to do it from a perspective of knowing who the hell they are, that they Black only, you know what I'm saying? That they ain't got no friends but themselves. And now let's create something knowing the reality of the situation we in. We just saw how they make money just off the prison aspect. We ain't even talking about the killing aspect. But the prison part, So how are our young people going to be able to learn and, do better and come up with clever ideas to find that solution the brother was talking about?
Yes.
Welcome to the Zyix Institute.
We are an African-centered, STEM and social justice-based institute.
Our program is located in Brooklyn, New York, however, serves nationwide.
To enroll in our program, you must be Black and declared a homeschooler student.
We are leveling the educational playing field by assuring that your child has an equal opportunity.
That's right.
In terms of curriculum, I do say it is challenging, but it's only because we are unlearning to relearn.
With your
Wow.
here at Zyix, foundation.
You will always have somebody to talk to and who will listen and help you through whatever you're going through.
Who's behind your child's education? Enroll now.
Well, I know you need to close up your shirt some, all the boys around you. That's what I'm thinking. Jesus. Okay.
And
dress code. I'm just saying. You the dress code, little girl.
All right, so yeah, and so you have, and then I wanted to show this sister from Liberated Minds and Koku in the building here. He interviewed this sister, and this is from Koku page. So y'all subscribe to Bitter Medicine Podcast, who is in here now, or who I don't know if he's still here, but shouts out to him for coming.
What's the name of that one? Queen Tees. What's that?
Queen Taisi.
Oh, Taisi. Okay.
She got said from Liberated Minds Institute. And my brother Black Magus, shouts out to him. I know it's been a minute since I talked to him, but I know he knows the sister, and I think his children went to her institute.
All right.
And so I know she official, you know what I'm saying? It's been a minute since I donated to her, but
oh wow. Who was that other sister? Is that her? Remember the one that was doing those interviews, or she had was maybe is that her?
Yeah, that's her, yeah.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. And you say it was Liberated Institute, or that's the Queen person?
Yeah, Liberated Minds Institute. And she's the one who started Queen Thais. And this is her, I ain't gonna play it. Y'all subscribe to Koku, but yeah,
everything,
Yeah. So I appreciate that.
Here to do at a very young age. So this has been my passion for a long time. African-centered education is actually, what I was feeling as a young child. I just didn't know how to give it context, right? In terms of the environment. I come from Springfield, Massachusetts, which is a very small town. And yet I recognize the power of why I was born there, because my family, growing up in a very tight communal family, was what I had to experience to become who I am today and, to be on this journey. So I'm very grateful. And so, with that opportunity of having the support of family, I want to send a shout out to my parents. Both of them are ancestors now who, really poured into me. And, just being able to exercise in different ways of of what I was feeling inside in terms of wanting something greater, knowing there was something more for our people, knowing that, you know, a lot of the information we were getting around us, I knew it was lies. I couldn't make sense of it, but I knew it didn't feel right, you know? So
yeah, you know, and shouts out to this sister here, and shouts out to my brother here. And y'all support her. This is another one. It was one I was trying to remember that my brother Anthony sent to me. I think this is one, the Euro Academy. I think so.
Peace and power. African-centered education is a system of education where children are taught.
What's the name of that one?
Uhuru, like UHURU Academy.
Okay.
And put everything into an African context. When we say African-centered education, we're not just talking about learning our history, though that's a very important aspect of it. We're talking about learning about our contributions in every area of civilization, from the development of mathematics to science, law, governance, for morality, spirituality. Everything is taught from an African perspective or through an African lens.
When you support the Uhuru.
All right, so you know,
yes, I love it.
Yeah, so shouts out to that brother. It was, thought I had another one. I ain't pull it up. I don't have it on here.
What's the name of it?
I think this one, I ain't looking to it. The Harlem Liberation School.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. But yeah, so yeah, it's a lot of them though, you know, and I know, I guess I haven't looked into it as much as I should, because like, you know, I ain't got children, there ain't no excuse, but you know, I definitely need to be remembering all of these so I can put them up, because I knew a lot more. People have sent me a lot more. I just couldn't think of it off the top of my head though. But yeah. And yo, one last thing before we get off of here, Cassidra, because I want you to see this, right? So we know how we let people come into our communities and stuff. So look at this, like some African brothers, I guess, you know, forced the Indian shop owner who sell food to their people. They're making him eat the food that they sell to us.
Russell, there is it. Russell, you're going to eat it. Akere, that is what you're selling to the people. Eat it, Russell. Hey, Baba. Eat it. Not take it. You are going to eat it.
Oh, what?
Eat your food.
Russell is a worm.
I don't know. No, you don't expect your own food. Pick it up, eat it. You are not going. No, you are busy selling rotten food to our people. Russell, eat your rubbish.
Oh.
Yeah. Eat. Hey, Baba. Hey, Baba. No. Hey, Baba. Don't invite trouble for you. Don't invite trouble. Eat it, Russell.
Ain't inviting trouble, bro.
Eat your food. Eat your worms.
Oh my God! He don't even eat his own food.
He don't
What
want to
is
eat his
it?
own. That's, I don't know, but he
You
be
don't want to
selling
eat
it.
that? That's what you get for eating. Why would you go over there and eat that mess? I don't feel sorry. Look, y'all know not to eat all that. You know them Indian. You already know. I ain't eat nothing that look like that. What is that? What is that? What is that? He won't even eat that mess. Ain't no way in the world I'm eating something I don't know what it is from them.
Yeah, they saying a lot of young people are getting it and getting sick, and some of them died after they was eating food from them coming in. Yeah, and so like that's why he making them eat it, because they've been doing that, you know, making them eat it.
They should have shut them down. They should have shut them down.
Yeah.
I hope they did.
Mm-hmm. They came in their country doing it.
Eat it, Russell. I'm sorry for that. They ate it. They ate it. Those ladies ate it.
She ate it already.
They ate that food.
Went over there and ate that mess.
Russell, you're going to eat it.
Russell,
this
I
food.
told you.
Who gonna eat this
who
food?
said other shop Shanchuddin? I told him the other day the same thing. I don't care whether you are Muslim like me, but whatever it is,
Hey, Baba.
I never sold anyone this thing.
Eat. Pick up, eat.
I don't want to hear that stuff. Pick it up. Now eat it.
No, you eat it, yeah.
I didn't see this.
No, I'm saying eat
didn't
it.
see the
Chief,
one there.
I'm saying eat it.
You see how he putting that hand on that shoulder, like yo, and he started moving when he put that hand on him.
They've
like,
already eaten it. Eat it.
Yep, eat it. Make him
eat it.
Eat
yep,
it.
eat it all.
You are making money out of it. Now you are going to eat it.
Now you're gonna eat it.
Yep. Don't let him go into eat it and swallow it.
You eat it. I don't want to touch you, ne? If I can touch you, I'll make you a mincemeat. You'll be finished.
That one I saw them.
Eat it.
Say, I don't want to touch you, but you're gonna eat this food.
So what I can
eat your money.
What is that?
This is your money. This is the money that you are making. Now you are eating a profit, ne? Eat. Kubeka, eat. No. Eat, Baba. Eat. Eat. Eat your things. Eat that. Then you'll tell us. Eat. Swallow it. You are not going to spit it out.
Not good.
It is not good.
You might gotta cover his mouth and pinch his nose to make him swallow it. You know, you gonna swallow this, all of it too.
All of it. That's right.
Yeah.
As I've mentioned in my previous segment, that 6 kids from Naledi Soweto have died after eating snacks they've bought from a local foreign-owned spaza shop or tuck shop, or bodegas as they are called in America. They have died, and it was suspected that it is a rat poisoning. And it did not stop there. Kids across South Africa died after purchasing food from these foreign-owned shops and eating them. Some have fallen sick.
How is it still? Indians is another group of foreign-owned shops that's in South Africa. How?
How? Because they support them. Why would you support them? Don't stop supporting them. Why would you go over there? Cook your own food. What you supporting them for? They don't support you. But they should have made him eat that food. You gonna eat this food today?
Oh, you gonna eat all this food?
All of it, every last drop.
You
sold it, you eat it.
Mm-hmm. And like if brothers start just doing that, you're gonna whatever you do, you're gonna do exactly and suffer exactly what we have. Listen, at the end of the day, I don't know what to tell them, Cassidra.
I don't either. But did you see where the African, and I'm going to just say one thing, the Kenyan president came into cahoots with Bill Gates and now going to give the babies, the pregnant women, vitamins, so-called vitamins for their babies. Okay. So how many dead babies are we going to have in Africa now? Bill Gates been trying to get his hands in Africa, right? And now he's partnered with the president. And I think they should do jungle justice. If one baby, and you should tell them, if one baby die, would you partner with Bill Gates? We coming after you and hold him accountable. We're not gonna hold Bill Gates accountable because India won't even let him come back into their country, right? Because he killed all them babies with polio, right? But now you come into African babies, and they've always wanted to, stop Africa and slow them down from giving birth and stuff, because they know that there's so many people in Africa, and he's going over there and giving them so-called vitamins. You already know it ain't no vitamins. Them women getting ready to miscarry, and it's going to probably make them where they can't get pregnant again. You already know what he's doing. He's doing some dirt, but that president should be held accountable. Now rest.
Yeah, I agree. And
one baby die, they need to handle their business with him because you partner with that devil.
Yeah, and let's test this out in Europe before we bring anything over here.
Exactly. Give me a pound of what you're getting ready to give. We're gonna send it to New York, baby.
Right. Send it
to them women in Europe. Yeah. Okay.
And let them take the first shots and all that and see what happens.
Exactly. I'm not even gonna take it, even if they give them the first shot. I'm still not gonna take a shot because them devils. They'll switch up on you in a minute. Nope. No, thank you.
Yeah. So, but yeah, what you think about this whole conversation, like the whole prison thing?
I think
everything.
Enlightening. It's very enlightening. I hope people, the ones that's here tonight. I hope and the ones that's going to come afterwards after we're done. I hope we think about this. Something needs to be done about this. This is ridiculous. Something needs to be done. It needs to be programs for guys coming out of prison, for them to, they have to be given a stipend or something to be able to get back on their feet. or maybe when you know they're coming out, let them go, give them a voucher to go to the DMV and get their licenses. Give them stipends, also a voucher for their very own. If you have to get an apartment building, with maybe 200 units, and since you don't want them, or I don't see why, but if you don't, especially if they weren't in jail for like murder or child molestation, something super violent, then if it's drugs, then why can't they come back to the community and give them a clean, a clean slate? You know what I'm saying? Now, if you're talking about some molestation, some pedophilia stuff, then that's different. They have to, maybe keep them amongst their own, right? Get them a building, let them live over there, But if they've done like drug, if it's drugs or something nonviolent, then let them come back to the community with a clean slate instead of holding stuff over their head for time that they've served. That needs to be a step. And I rest.
Yeah, facts. And yeah, and I agree with that, but at the end of the day, nothing's going to change until we realize that we all we got, and we stick to it, not just for a few days.
Yep.
If we live every day like it's like the Alabama boat thing can go down at any minute, if we live that our lives that way, we be all right. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So and shouts out to Raw in the building. Shouts out to Koku. I was listening to him this weekend. They had a good show straight, especially the interesting topics, especially like the first one. I was kind of tripping, but yeah, consider I won't play this last video of the brother's speech. You want to hear like from what I played at the beginning, or just like the last minute or so?
Oh, it's up to you. Whatever you got to play, it's up to you.
I'll just play it. I'll just play it, and then this will be my last words. So I'll give him the whole one. All right. All right, my bad. I messed up.
Not just in America, but everywhere we go, our people are dying. So the things that are in operation on this planet is that white people want to kill us. I want you to understand that. They want to kill you. And it has nothing to do with what the kind of degree you have, what kind of car you have, what kind of title you have, what fraternity you belong to, what religion you belong to. They want to kill you because that is part of their plan. There are any number of reasons why they want to do that. I'm not going to waste my time trying to figure out why they want to kill us. But I know that's what they want to do. And they want to do it in many different ways. Psychological, economic, cultural, spiritual, social, and biological, chemical, electromagnetic. They want to kill you. But they also want to make money in the process of your death. Now, I saw a brother when I was coming in, he was smoking a cigarette. So now he's going to kill himself, but they're going to make money off of his death process. The other thing is that they want us to, if they don't kill us, like they tried to kill the brother by beating him up in New Orleans, if they don't kill us that way, or shooting like they killed the brother in Cincinnati, or like they killed Malice Green in Detroit, or like they killed Greenwich up in Pittsburgh, if they don't come out right and kill us straight, they want to get us to kill ourselves. Now, these are the only two operations on the planet. The other thing is that there's only one nigger on the planet. I never use that word. This is the first time I've used it. I don't even think that word, but there's only one nigger on the planet. And the nigger that's on the planet is the one that is destroying the water, the one that's polluting the air, the one that is exploiting people and resources. And the only nigger on the planet is the white man and the white woman. And then our people are not niggers. We are imitation niggers. Now, what we have to do is we have to devise a system or a plan for ourselves. And I said earlier that each one of you is a system. And everything that you do, every thought that you think, either you are supporting white world terror domination by your actions, what you buy, what you wear, where you go, what you eat, how you use your time. You are either supporting the white people in their process of death, or you're for African liberation. It's one or the other. And if we don't use our time wisely, then we are engaging in a form of subtle suicide. Because as I said earlier, their system is still going on. They still have these images on TV that are going on. They're still warehousing our children in the special ed, giving them Ritalin. There are no jobs. We fill in the hospitals. So their system is not stopping. And then finally, I want to say that we need one idea. And we're not thinking about a solution to the problem. We're dealing with all these other things, but these are diversions from the solution to the problem. And we have to start to think about a solution to the problem so that these young brothers and sisters who are here now, who are 15, 16, and 17, are not here 25 years later talking about these same problems. Now, how do I know that the white people know that we are going to come up with a solution to the problem? I know it because they have retina scans, they have what they call racial profiling, DNA banks, and they're monitoring our people to try to prevent the one person from coming up with the one idea. And the one idea is how we are going to exterminate white people, because that, in my estimation, is the only conclusion I have come to. We have to exterminate white people off of the face of the planet to solve this problem. Now, I don't care whether you clap or not, but I'm saying to you that we need to solve this problem because they are going to kill us. And I will leave on that. So we have to just set up our own system and stop playing and get very serious and not be diverted from coming up with a solution to the problem. And the problem on the planet is white people.
Yep, and unfortunately, here I am 25 years later saying the same damn thing. So the problem is we got the we sick boss mentality, as sick as be good boss. But oh yeah, I forgot to say, shouts out to you, Cassidra, for coming out. Thank you for your time. And y'all support Realm in the Bush. You hear what she's trying to do with her organization. She's not just talking, she's doing it. You know what I'm saying? She's real about this. So y'all support her. Y'all send the cash app so she can like help grow her business and her organization and do everything that she got to do. Thank you for your time, Cassidra. I appreciate you coming on here.
Thank you for the opportunity. That's just all about us coming together and growing and just putting a, putting a light on what's needed in our community. But thank you for just even allowing me to come.
Yeah, facts. And yeah, shouts out Raw. He said it better than I can. I'm here to tell you the solution. But unfortunately, they said you for black people or you for not. So a lot of you are not. So, but anyway, as always, we have got to start standing for something or we're going to keep falling for anything.
Peace, family.